Welcome, everybody, to our Week 7 review for the Everyman's Fantasy Football Podcast. It's me, Russell, here with
your co-host, Blake, his co-host.
Yeah, my co-host.
Your host.
I'm the host. He's the host. We're both hosts. I don't know if you noticed, but we got a little bit better production this week. We're moving up in the world. Special thanks to my father, Mr. Fletcher Isaacs of Isaacs Imagery for that. Stepping it up in our game. Hopefully you guys can enjoy this new content. But we're going to dive right into our news for the week.
That was a paid ad, by the way.
Yeah, that was a paid ad. Starting off, big news out of Arizona. Kyler Murray was a full participant in Arizona's practice today, which is huge. He's been on the PUP list all year. We might be seeing Kyler's first game of the season this week.
Right after Josh Dobbs gets his jersey in store.
Right?
Poor guy.
They're going to lose a lot of money. You want to go over those Dolphins?
Yeah, man, I'm a big Dolphins guy, and we hear some shaky news on this Wednesday. Tyreek Hill and Raheem Mostert did not practice today. Tyreek dealing with a hip issue. Mostert, I'm not sure. I think that would put
Ankle.
Ankle. I think that put Jeff Wilson in for a huge role with A-Chain obviously still in IR. Jalen Waddle limited to practice today. He did come back this last Sunday, so I wouldn't be too worried about Waddle, but definitely keep your eye on Tyreek.
Yeah, lots of injuries in Miami right now. Not a good sign. Moving over to San Francisco, Brock Purdy in concussion protocol. It's been pretty static this year with concussions. If you're in the concussion protocol, you usually miss that week. So I'd expect him to miss this week. I don't know how that's going to look for the 49ers offense, though, with their backup.
I could be wrong. I thought they already named the backup the starter. I could be mistaken.
Moving over to Cleveland, P.J. Walker will start Sunday versus Seattle. Deshaun Watson dealing with that shoulder injury, vagina injury, just a big old baby. They said here that it's a strain of the subscapularis. I know I said that wrong. It's a rotator cuff injury, and we're looking at about 4 to 6 weeks. So P.J. Walker is definitely the starter for the future, which is kind of wild.
Shaky. Myles Garrett's going to carry that team.
Mm-hmm. You want to go over the Titans news?
Titans news, yeah. Quarterback Will Levis is expected to start, which I think is great for the team. Honestly, I don't think Tannehill was doing anything for them at all, so I don't think that'll negatively impact any of the players. I think, if anything, it could. If they give him free reign, I think Hopkins could have a higher floor, and Derrick Henry might have to carry a little bit.
But it says here that Mike Vrabel thinks that Malik Willis is also going to play. So we're going to be looking at 2 QBs for the Titans this week. That's awful. They just traded one of their best defensive players too, so they're probably going to blow it up.
That's gross. I didn't read that far. I didn't read that far.
That's kind of wild. Some news out of Detroit. Marvin Jones is stepping away from the team to deal with some personal issues. Hope everything's okay with him. Hope he gets that settled, and hopefully he makes his way back to the NFL.
For the Cardinals, they are putting Zach Ertz on IR. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's great for Trey McBride. He was already seeing a rise in his snap share and targets over the last few weeks. So with Ertz on IR, I think that's huge for him. Could see a good role in that offense if you're desperate. Good little streaming option.
Yeah, go ahead and silence that phone for me, boss. Some news out of New Orleans. Chris Olave was arrested for driving too fast. Going 35 miles per hour over the speed limit. If there's going to be any type of suspension, I mean, that's like a minor misdemeanor, so there's probably not going to be a suspension. Might get fined. But this is for something in the future. He should play this week. Jordan Addison got hurt on Monday night. TJ Hawkinson too. They're both going to be questionable going through the week. Vikings definitely need them to be healthy to be in any games. The Jet is already out.
They both came back in the game. I wouldn't be too worried about
it. Jerome Ford, low-grade ankle sprain. Probably going to miss a couple weeks. Definitely going to miss this week though. Also, Justin Fields is doubtful for this weekend as well. So looks like another week of Bilbo Badgin.
More tight end news. We got Dawson Knox going through surgery. Probably season ending. Kincaid's value through the roof. Waivers should have went through today, so I'm sure he's probably already claimed. If you manage to get him, I think he's a very solid start in an explosive Bills offense.
Yeah. All right, that'll do it for news. We're going to go ahead and move into the matchups through Week 7, starting off with Thursday night, where, let me get there real quick, where we saw, oh yeah, of course, I forgot about this game.
I totally forgot.
Put it out of my memory. Of course, I couldn't remember who it was. I'm going to go ahead and let you lead with this one. I'll give some minor thoughts here and there, though.
Yeah, we saw the Jacksonville Jaguars beat the New Orleans Saints 31-24. It was a pretty solid game, actually. The Saints fought the good fight. They couldn't finish the job.
Nope.
We saw Christian Kirk close out the game with a 40-yard touchdown reception to put the Jags up 7, kind of sealed the deal there. You guys should know by now I'm huge on Christian Kirk. I love to see it. Broke Russell's heart. I love to see that too. But it was unfortunate for the Saints. Travis Etienne putting up numbers again with
2 touchdowns in each of his last 3 weeks.
3 weeks in a row, man. I mean, that's super impressive. I think he's the running back 4 on the year, if I'm not mistaken. 3. Etienne's having a great year, and as long as he stays healthy, obviously a high ceiling running back 1 every single week.
Yeah. I'd definitely be worried about Ridley right now. He was drafted high around the 3rd, 4th, and 5th round. Not playing up to his potential, not getting targeted a lot. Christian Kirk is the one in this offense, and Evan Ingram's the second guy. So that's definitely worrisome. Moving to the Saints side, for fantasy, Alvin Kamara has been great. For the Saints, he's kind of setting them back in a way. There's a lot of other options out there. Guys flying down the field that Derek Carr needs to hit, but he chooses to dump it off to Kamara instead. So we've got a bit of a coaching issue out in NOLA. I could talk about this all day, but I won't. Tough loss for New Orleans, though, who moves to 3-4, but we see Jacksonville move to 5-2, one of the top teams in the NFL right now. Moving to Baltimore, where we saw an absolute beatdown from the Ravens against the Lions. Very unexpected.
From the get.
The Baltimore offense did absolutely whatever they wanted. Couldn't get stopped. It felt like they couldn't even get to 3rd down. They were just converting on 1st and 2nd every play. Detroit just got blown out. I mean, there's not much more to it. They couldn't get anything done until late in the game where Gibbs got a garbage time touchdown.
Detroit couldn't get the 1st down. Baltimore couldn't get the 3rd. The Lions couldn't get the 1st. I mean, Jared Goff ended up throwing for 284 yards, but that was on 53 attempts. Only 33 of those completed, 1 interception, no touchdowns. Kind of bummed as a big Sam Laporta stan. But, I mean, dude, Lamar was just controlling the game out there. He had all the time in the world running around out there.
It felt like we were watching Lamar play his best game as a player in the NFL, honestly. I'm sure he's had better statistical games, like running the football and everything, but 357 yards and 3 touchdowns in the air. And he was throwing darts, too. He was throwing over safeties. He was just playing phenomenal. So that was a joy to see. Mark Andrews, unbelievable. He's probably the tight end 1 or 2, maybe the 1.
2 touchdowns.
Kelsey, Hawkinson, and Andrews are all fighting for that 1 spot.
Kelsey's got it pretty secure. We'll get to his matchup later.
I don't think he'll have it that secure this year. I think it's going to be a lot closer. Andrews and Hawkinson are averaging about the same points a week. So I know he had a great week this week, but don't act like those 2 guys aren't playing well too.
They are.
Gus Edwards had a crazy 80-yard catch. Didn't score though. That's pretty wild.
Got
I
caught.
rarely see a run or catch that long that doesn't go for a score. But regardless, 21 fantasy points. You love to see that out of Gus Edwards.
Obviously, Monty was out, but you love to see Jahmyr Gibbs out there this week as well.
12th
10 targets, 10 targets, 9 receptions. That's great for any running back.
Mm-hmm. For sure. When Monty comes back, they should still get Gibbs out there as much as possible. Put him in the slot, man.
But they won't.
10 targets, he can play slot. But yeah, we see Baltimore move to 5-2 and Detroit fall to 5-2. This was a bit of a snooze fest.
Didn't
kind
watch
of out of the blue too.
Didn't watch any of these, actually. I was in Tampa.
I had about all 7 games on right here, so I had to watch it. But it was one of the games I put in the corner on the multi-screen, so didn't have to watch, the bulk of it. But it was the Raiders versus the Bears. Bears kind of blew out the Raiders here. It felt like every time the Raiders were in the red zone, they just couldn't convert. Daniel Carlson, too. Been one of the best kickers in the NFL for years, and now this guy just stinks. Just a bad kicker. I hate to see that.
Yeah,
I had Daniel Carlson in many leagues throughout the years. Very disappointing.
The only fantasy relevant player for the Raiders this week was Jacoby Myers with a late touchdown, I believe, in the fourth quarter.
He's been the only relevant guy all year for the Raiders.
Pretty much, with a game or two out of Javante Adams. I mean, Josh Jacobs clearly is not it. I mean, he's not near consistent enough in that porous offense. It's hard to trust him at this point.
It's hard to trust anybody from the Raiders. Really, the story of the day for this game was Deontay Foreman, who finished 3 touchdowns on the day, 2 on the ground, 1 in the air. Just did just about everything for the Bears. Badgett, DJ Moore didn't have to get heavily involved because he was, scoring willy-nilly. For anyone that played him in fantasy this week like me, I'm sorry.
13's not bad.
33.
Oh, you're talking about playing against Foreman. I thought you were saying if you played DJ Moore in your lineup.
No, Foreman.
Oh yeah, Foreman definitely wrecked your shit this week. It was unfortunate.
We see the Raiders fall to 3-4, and the Bears move to 2-5. 2 wins. That's great for the Bears. That matches their win total last year.
Our next game was surprisingly not a snooze fest.
This was an awesome game.
Crazy. I couldn't believe it, man. I'll let you mostly talk about it. Again, I was in Tampa, so I couldn't watch most of it. I saw some highlights.
This poor fellow went and saw the Bucs play live in person, who lost, by the way. Fun fact. But yeah, this game we're going over now is the Browns versus the Colts. What I thought was going to be a low-scoring defensive matchup. Oh, excuse my voice crack there. Turned into the highest scoring total of the week.
Puberty's a bitch.
Yeah, fuck you. The Browns put up 39, the Colts 38, so they didn't cover, but they did get the win. P.J. Walker didn't do much. This was all the Browns' defense keeping them alive. The Colts finished with 200 more yards on offense and lost, which you rarely see. But yeah, Myles Garrett just kept the Browns in this game. Felt like he single-handedly propelled them to a win here.
Dude, he's clearly the front runner for Defensive Player of the Year.
Clearly. It's not even close. TJ Watt's playing phenomenal. It's not close.
Yeah, not close at all.
I
say he's the reason the Browns are good this year.
Yeah. There's a few more things to it. Their defensive coordinator's got that entire defense playing well.
Locked in. Their really defense in general is good, but he's a game changer, quite literally. A 1-point win, not having a player like him, you lose. He did block that kick that would have had them lose that game.
Yeah. If you stream Minshew this week, what a game. He finished
no one in the world.
He finished with 4 turnovers, 3 fumbles, and an interception, but finished with 27 fantasy points.
Crazy.
300 yards passing, 2 rushing touchdowns, 2 passing touchdowns.
Minshew mania.
Felt like he was Anthony Richardson out there. He got Josh Downs and Michael Pittman heavily involved. As long as he's the starter, which he is for the rest of the season with Richardson out, those guys should be in your lineups. Michael Pittman and Josh Downs would both be quality flexes for any 12-man team or 12-man league.
And I think you, maybe not super confidently, but keep Jonathan Taylor in your lineup from here on out.
Yeah.
Him and Zach Moss kind of evenly touched the ball, but JT did more with his touches.
Yeah, they got the exact same touches, actually, which is pretty funny.
That's right. Okay. I thought,
But yeah, he's such a good talent, you have to have him in your lineup. But we see the Browns move to 4-2, and the Colts fall to 3-4. All right, our next matchup was divisional here. It was the Bills versus the Patriots. Very unexpected win for the Bills here, or for the Patriots here, beating the Bills at home. Great win for Belichick. It was his 300th win of his illustrious career. That means he's third most wins. Only 2 other coaches have 300 plus. Can you name those coaches?
Nope.
Tom Landry, Parcells. But yeah, great win, great game for Mac Jones. I feel for Mac Jones. He's been garbage all year. but he definitely puts the effort out. So it was good to see him go out there and lead them to a victory. No turnovers is the biggest thing for him. No turnovers, they got the win. Maybe he can see a pattern there. But another great day for Josh Allen. Another great day for Stephon Diggs, who both just put out, QB1, wide receiver 1 weeks.
Diggs always puts out. I wanted to ask you, does it not kind of blow your mind that the Pats can put up 29 points and there's still no one that's really like fantasy viable like that? Like
Ramondre.
14.5.
Kendrick
okay,
Bourne.
yeah. Sure, yeah. Kendrick Bourne, 16, but there's no
They don't have
real fantasy value in that whole team.
Yeah, they're missing like a guy like Jacoby Myers who could, propel them to a better passing attack.
So crazy. He's so good for the Raiders, and he had, I think, 3 touchdowns in his career in New England.
It's wild.
Took him 3 seasons.
Belichick does not know how to read like skill talent. He knows how to find a lineman. He knows how to find a special teams guy, a defensive cornerback, but he doesn't know how to find a running back, wide receiver that can, produce for the offense and his team. For the Bills, this is a typical divisional matchup where the underdog gets the win because they want it more, and the favorite just thinks they're better and doesn't play like it. Dawson Knox broke his wrist or hand. I think it was wrist.
He needs surgery.
He's getting surgery, so regardless, Dalton Kincaid should be rostered and in your lineup in the tight end market we live in. For the Patriots, we just briefly went over it. Ramondre, another good day from him, and his schedule is clearing up. He's going to have a great schedule rest of the season.
I guess, but you kind of hate to see Zeke vulture a touchdown from him.
Yeah, he's still getting like 60+% of touches. That's what you usually get from an RB1, unless it's like McCaffrey.
Okay, but on the ground this week, Ramondre had 9 rushes, Zeke had 11.
Yeah, you don't like to see that. But he's the pass catcher guy, which means you're going to be more into it, need it more, and he's going to be more reliable than a guy like Zeke who's just going to get 10 carries.
Yeah.
But yeah, you do hate to see him vulture touchdowns.
By any means.
You do hate to see him vulture touchdowns.
Just saying, Ramondre's value really hurts all year. It's been pretty consistent that Zeke is getting a solid 40% of his touches.
Yeah. But we see the Bills. Whoa.
This guy's TikToking there.
I was looking at my timer. I don't know why that came on.
This generation's pathetic.
This generation is pathetic. And we're living in it. But we see the Bills move to 4-3. Very surprising. 3 losses was their total from last year, from the whole season. And the Patriots moved to 2-5. Another divisional matchup. We got a few more. That's the next 4 matchups.
Pats
These are all
on the
divisional. It was the Giants versus the Commanders. I know Hayden was happy after this.
Good for him.
Yeah, the Giants getting a win here in MetLife. Sam Howell, not the best day. Tyrod Taylor, on the other hand, this guy's better than Daniel Jones. All right, Tyrod Taylor is a veteran QB. He takes the risks too.
That's true.
Like he throws the risky balls. He goes for it. He puts his team in winning positions. It was so fun to see Jalen Hyatt and Wan'Dale Robinson running, long routes down the field and
getting into the routes.
There. Yeah. Daniel Jones, just stay hurt, man. Let Tyrod cook. I'm all in on the Tyrod train. It was actually fun watching the Giants play football this week, which I haven't been able to say the entire year. And a lot of that has to do with Saquon coming back, but it also has to do with Tyrod being better than Daniel Jones. Sorry, I had to.
I'm not going to say
shout
you're
out
right,
my boy Tyrod there,
but I'm not going to tell him he's wrong either. Darren Waller finally looking pretty solid this week with Tyrod at the helms of the offense. Even last week when they did lose, he got like 3 end zone targets, not just red zone, but in the end zone. So Tyrod definitely likes Darren Waller. You love to see it because he got drafted pretty high, probably 5th or 6th round in a lot of leagues. So that's great for the Giants offense. And like Russell said, Saquon being back, 25 touches this week. Saquon's going to eat.
Dude.
Good things for the Giants offense.
This is what I'm saying right here. Tyrod spread the ball out. He threw to 8 different guys. 8 different guys. He got the ball to everybody. This guy's better than Daniel Jones. I've seen enough.
They just paid the guy.
I know. Deshaun Watson got $240 million guaranteed. How's that working out for the Browns? Doesn't matter if you just paid him. If the guy stinks, the guy stinks. Try something different. For the Commanders, decent day out of Terry. Another stinker from Dotson, not getting above 10 points.
Stinker from everyone else.
I mean, yeah, pretty much stinkers all around for the
Brian
Commanders.
Robinson scored and still put up like 9 points.
That's so sad.
When it was their only score. Commanders put up 7.
Yeah, 7-14, low-scoring divisional affair, but regardless, a good win for the Giants, who moved to 2-5, and the Commanders fall to 3-4. Another divisional matchup. We love our divisional matchups. I'm going to be going over the majority of this one here because my poor co-host already lived it in person and doesn't want to go over it again. Wah, wah, wah.
Dude, I'd like to say, when we tied the game up with a field goal, I was like, oh, you know what? Like, we punted the Falcons. I'm like, that's such a shit offense. They have 50 seconds. They can't move the ball down the field. Arthur Smith kills 50 seconds in one play. I go take a piss. I come back. As I'm walking back, I see Kyle Pitts reeling in a catch. I didn't even know he was still on the team because they never throw him the ball. He's reeling in a catch for 40 yards, moving the chains down the field. Just to see Bays grinning. I'm so glad he's not here.
Oh, man. The worst thing in the world is a Bays grin. Also, the second worst thing in the world is the Falcons win.
Horrible.
Which is what the Falcons did against the Bucs in Tampa Bay this weekend. Blake had to live through it, poor guy. I mean, it was both QBs had kind of crappy days. I mean, Baker a little bit better, but his O-line was not helping him much. He got hit a few times without knowing the guy was there. But Desmond Ridder, I mean, another stinker. This guy is just 3 turnovers a game. It's a guarantee at this point. It was picks last week. It was fumbles this week. He's at the bottom of my QE rankings, which I'll have on the story this week for everyone to see. The guy's a stinker. I think, and I brought this up in a previous episode, that the Falcons, if they want to get better, need to trade for Josh Dobbs, especially with Kyler coming back. Josh Dobbs will improve this team.
Wouldn't take much.
You know who else would improve this team? The guy I was just shitting on, Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones would also improve this Falcons team. That's how bad Desmond Ridder is.
He is horrible. I'm watching him fumble, especially the one going into the end zone. I mean, it's like he gave up before he got in the end zone. Exactly. He was just thought he was free.
I mean,
and gets the ball smacked right out of his hand.
That's a rookie mistake. He's living in his sophomore season right now, so hopefully he can move the ball to the to the other arm next time. Moving into the running back room, which was the big story out of the day for this game, was Bijan Robinson had a little tummy ache.
He had massive diarrhea.
I mean, the guy was pooping all night.
Nothing
he was
worse
obviously
than
at the Hard Rock. He was obviously at the Hard Rock until 4 a.m. playing craps.
With Bays, I saw it.
Yeah, probably with Bays. And I heard sources about Bijan Robinson being in the bathroom with a certain greasy guy.
It was
I don't know if there's any truth to that.
I watched it.
But there were sounds of slurping inside the stall, so we won't go much more into that. But Bijan Robinson didn't even play. He had 1 touch. It was the Cordero Patterson and Tyler Algier show. Cordero actually looked pretty good.
Joker's back.
Just blows my mind how Arthur Smith does his job. Rachaad White, pretty great day.
Blows my mind how he has his job.
Rachaad White is actually the second best running back in terms of receptions.
Yeah.
Not obviously he's no Alvin Kamara. That's the best. But in terms of yards per reception, the guy's number 2 right now for running backs. McCaffrey may have moved up above him because that was a stat I read before the Monday night game. But regardless, Rachaad White's getting receptions, which you love for your running back in fantasy. Mike Evans, solidified as an automatic start every week.
Mm-hmm.
Turning back the clock, Baker's only looking at this guy some plays. And he's almost a touchdown guarantee every week, which was like his first year with Tom Brady.
Tell everyone how good he is.
Touchdown guarantee.
Tell him how good he is.
He's a piece of shit, and I hate Mike Evans, but god damn it, is he good at football.
Yeah. Clipping that one for life.
Yeah.
That one goes right in the vault.
Not much in the Atlanta receiving room. Kyle Pitts, I'm pretty sure, had another
good week for Kyle Pitts.
A good week for Kyle Pitts, but reeled it back from his previous last couple of weeks. But a good win for Atlanta, especially away, who moved to 4-3 atop the NFC South.
Boo.
And the Bucs fall to 3-3.
Boo. Come on, boo. It's the Falcons.
Boo.
Yeah.
Moving to another divisional matchup. I think this puts us in the 3 o'clock slate, if I'm not.
Sure does.
It does put us in the 3 o'clock slate. It was the Arizona Cardinals versus the Seattle Seahawks. We saw the Seahawks get a good win here coming out of their bye. We moved to 4-2. Geno Smith, decent day. A couple turnovers, definitely wants to get those back, but didn't have to do much. The Cardinals' offense is definitely slowed down as of late after losing James Conner. It definitely feels like they need Kyler Murray. Josh Dobbs started off pretty hot just because, teams didn't really know the guy, didn't know what to expect out of him. But yeah, like I said, this Cardinals team, I definitely get the vibe they need Kyler back.
Demercado, is that how you say that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think everyone kind of thought last week was going to be his week. Then coming in, I can't say these people's names.
Demercado.
Keontae Ingram came in last week, kind of took the lead role as RB1 in the Cards offense without James Conner. But this week it was, what? Say it.
What?
Demercado? Yeah. He took over this week as the RB1.
13 carries and 5 targets. 5 targets is awesome to see.
Huge.
For Ken Walker, 100 yards on the ground, ton of carries.
26.
Kenneth Walker is in that lineup automatically. It's an RB1. DK Metcalf was ruled out shortly before this game. I'm sure a lot of people got burned leaving him in their lineup. I know Cade did. Very sorry, Cade. Rest in peace. He got chopped this week in the guillotine. But yeah, huge day, breakout game for the rookie out of Ohio State, JSN, Jackson Smith and Jigba. I was high on him before the season. I will always be high on Ohio State players. Go Buckeyes, baby. They feed the Saints great players. And JSN is another example of that. Been waiting on this game all season, and I was very happy to see him get into pay dirt. Did you want to go over anything else in that game?
Not
much
really.
there.
Not really.
Not much there. Good win for Seattle, though, who moves to 4-2. And the Cardinals, sitting in 31st place in the league, move to 1-6. Like how I said that.
Yeah.
Mischievously. All right. This was actually a pretty decent matchup. It was the Steelers versus the Rams. A big win for the Steelers out of their bye week. Kenny Pickett actually put a pretty good day together. Kenny Pickett's very back and forth.
He's
playing like a good QB and then playing like a bum.
Yeah, he's sneakily, not for fantasy purposes. I wouldn't start him ever.
He makes smart plays. He makes good throws, too.
But, on the field,
make some nice throws.
I don't want to believe in him, but he comes out and he does make smart plays and good plays, and he's winning the Steelers games. Maybe it's just Mike Tomlin.
Yeah,
probably him.
Matt Stafford, on the other hand, I'm just waiting on that big game out of him. I've seen him play all year, and he looks like, OG Matt Stafford, slinging the rock accurately. He's got fantastic, options all around him. Tutu's flying down the field. He's got Puka and Cup running routes. But it just seems Matt Stafford's just capped at 16 fantasy points, man. Can't get any more out of him.
Speaking of who's flying around the field, this week it was mostly Puka Nacua. Cooper Kupp only reeling in 3 of 7 targets, I think, for 6-point-something fantasy points.
Not a lot of fantasy points.
6.9. Nice. But, dude, Puka is clearly not going to be affected by Cooper Kupp. He out-targeted him, out-received him, led the team in yards. Last week he had a little bit of a dud, but this week definitely proved that Kupp's not going to stop Puka from being a wide receiver one.
Puka is Mr. Reliable. Matt Stafford loves him as a target. On the other hand, George Pickens, another great day. 100 yards on 5 receptions. He's a big playmaker, and if he's one-on-one, I'm betting on him coming down with that ball.
Yep.
Out of the running back room, it was good to see Najee have a good day. Jalen Warren even got above 10 points thanks to a touchdown. Darrell Henderson also on the Rams side. It looks like he's probably going to be the guy until Kyron gets back. I'd expect Royce Freeman to come in and get some touches, though, to not, I don't think McVay is going to rely on Darrell Henderson, to get in Kyron work, get 25 carries.
They did last year for a little bit.
Yeah, they released him for a reason, though.
It's true.
So it's probably going to be a 2-man brigade there between Royce Freeman and Darrell Henderson, which is going to be kind of gross until Kyron gets back healthy, which hopefully is in that 4-week period. But yeah, good win for the Steelers, who moved to 4-2. That's the most surprising record in the NFL by a long shot. And the Rams moved to 3-4.
A couple unsurprising records.
Yeah, very unsurprising records here between two very bad football teams. The Green Bay Packers versus the Denver Broncos. Good win for Denver here. Russ cooked what he could. Not a great cook anymore.
He microwaved.
Didn't leave it in for long enough. It was still kind of cold. Javante Williams, 15 carries. I mean, this was his best game of the season, only at 12 points, though. Pretty disappointing
I think
for
I said
Javante.
it last week, and I'll say it every week. I don't believe in any Broncos fantasy players, and I won't. Sutton did have a good week with 19.6, but I mean, any player in fantasy can have the potential for a blow-up week. Sutton is probably their best player. But like Russell just said, I mean, Javante just had his best game of the season at 12.6. Russ cooking leads to a game of 14 points where they win by 2, scoring 19. I mean, I can't believe in the Broncos.
I'm just so glad I didn't have to watch any of this game at all. On the running back side for the Packers, the Broncos are the 32nd ranked run defense, so you expect giant days out of Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, and they just didn't come. A.J. Dillon actually outscored Aaron Jones he had more opportunities too, which is very wild to me.
Well, I think they're easing Aaron Jones back in. I don't think he was fully healthy. I did recently trade for him to get rid of George Kittle, thank God, just to suffer Aaron Jones being questionable every single week like he was today at practice. So I don't think he was fully healthy last week, hence A.J. Dillon out-touching him by almost double. I think the Packers really should just rest him another week and let him deal with his hamstring issue and become healthy, but they refuse, so we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, Jordan Love has definitely slowed down from his hot start to the season. Turning the ball over still has to be better there. And he's not throwing for a lot of yards either, which you don't like to see out of your QB. I mean, Jaden Reed and Romeo Doubs both finished with 11 points, but they were saved by touchdowns. Without those touchdowns, they almost gave you a goose. So, also worried about Christian Watson. Don't want to go into that. This guy has burned people all year. Christian Watson's definitely one of those draft picks that's going to haunt a lot of people for the future. Moving on to the last 3 o'clock game, though. Oh, by the way, both of those teams are 2-5. 2-4 for the Packers, though. Who cares? Anyway, next matchup, another divisional one. Chargers versus the Chiefs. This game started pretty exciting, going back and forth.
Did you see Taylor Swift was there?
She was there. I did see she was there. That's why Kelsey had a monster game. When she's in attendance, Kelsey plays like prime Tony Gonzalez. I am Tony Gonzalez.
I'd like to say earlier you mentioned how like there's competition for the wide receiver one, and there is. I mean, Mark Andrews is playing good, and so is whoever else you named. Doesn't matter. They're not Travis Kelce. Kelsey's averaging almost 21 points this year. I mean, no one else has, I don't think, put up over 30 at the tight end position this year. He just put up 36. Kelsey's just different.
He's got a higher ceiling than the other tight ends.
Absolutely.
For sure.
The highest. He's tight end one.
Yeah. 13 targets for your tight end. I mean, 13 targets for anybody is awesome. But for your tight end,
yards.
Can't get better than that. For the Chargers, they started off hot and then kind of just drifted off. Keenan Allen, pretty subpar day out of the guy. Josh Palmer did have a pretty good game, finishing with over 100 yards receiving on only 5 catches, too. So those were big plays made by the guy.
Did you get to watch this?
Yeah, a little bit.
What's up with Eckler? Were they just behind all game?
I don't really know. It felt like he just wasn't getting worked in where he needed to be. Josh Kelly also had, 7 carries and vultured a touchdown.
Josh Kelly is only fantasy relevant when Austin Eckler is healthy.
It's pretty wild. Pisses me off, honestly.
I think
everybody. Like to see Eckler involved.
I think everybody.
Eckler was drafted top 5 everywhere, top 10 definitely. I mean, it's a shame to not see Austin Eckler getting 20 to 25 touches a game. And he should be healthy now. He's been healthy the last couple of weeks, so it's kind of weird to see. Isaiah Pacheco, another great game for the guy. He's been fantastic for the Chiefs. They definitely haven't had to rely on Patrick Mahomes as much this season. This was Patrick Mahomes' best game of the season. Finished with over 30 points in fantasy. I mean, he was just throwing wherever he wanted to. It felt like the Patrick Mahomes of old, which I'm sure lots of people are happy about.
Looked like prime Patty this week.
Love to see it for him. But we see KC move to a league best 6-1, first in the AFC, and the Chargers fall to 2-4. Moving into the Sunday night football matchup. Oh, this was a big one. It wasn't very disappointing either. It was disappointing if you were a Miami fan.
The final score makes it look like it was disappointing, but I mean,
it was an exciting game.
The game was good.
The game was good. I enjoyed the game. Tyreek doing what Tyreek does, and he said he had to be better too. I love that. He had an awesome game, touchdown, 80 plus yards, and he's saying he has to be better.
How much better can he be? How much better can he be, Tyreek?
Tua, very bad day. Had a pick. Wasn't very accurate. Jalen Hurts, on the other hand, was the opposite of that. He was making game-winning plays. He did have a couple turnovers. He's been struggling with that all year. But he's been moving the ball down the field, and they did it pretty well. I mean, A.J. Brown is on an absolute tear. We're at 6 games in a row of 125-plus yards. That's insane. That's tied the record all time, so that guy's in uncharted territory as an NFL football player right now, which you love to see. Hotty toddy. Let me see A.J. Brown. But yeah, I mean,
Dallas Goedert also looked really good. Javante Smith for fantasy is not looking super relevant, man.
Ever since A.J. Brown bitched out Sirianni and Jalen Hurts, Javante Smith has disappeared from this offense. What did he say? Did he say enough of Smitty? Enough of Javante Smith?
I guess so.
Give me all of his touches?
I guess so.
And did Sirianni and Jalen Hurts come together and say, all right, A.J. Brown could probably kick our ass, so should we just do what he tells us to do?
I think that's exactly what happened, because that's what's
happening. I'm
kind
of getting that feeling. I hate to see it. I've got Javante Smith in a couple places.
He was drafted high in a lot of leagues, too. I mean,
third in ours.
First and the third.
Yeah.
I've seen him. I saw him drafted late second in some leagues. I mean, you gotta hate to see that. He started off the season pretty well, but like you said, I mean, A.J. Brown threw a little hissy fit and started getting all those targets.
Moving into the running back room, Miami, the number 1 run defense in the league, got absolutely stuffed by this Philadelphia defensive line, which is just star-studded. Nothing but, A-tier players. Fletcher Cox, Jalen Carter. I mean, they are so good on that defensive line that defensive line, even if they're secondary, which has been getting burned all year, that defensive line is so good, it's going to propel them to wins. We see that because they're sitting atop the NFC right now at 6-1. And Miami moves to 5-2. Our last matchup of the week came at Monday night, and what a win!
What a shocker,
for
man!
Kirk Cousins and the Minnesota Vikings.
What a shocker, bro!
Big Kirko came in dripping. Everyone saw it. He was listening to Creed before the game too, so he was ready, man. I listened to Harrison Smith on the Pat McAfee show, and he was talking about how Kirk was like telling all the young guys about Creed, and it was like the most Kirk Cousins thing I've ever heard. Not all these young guys, 20, 21-year-olds in the NFL, have no idea who Creed is.
Jordan Addison's sitting there.
Kirk Cousins is
like drooling.
Kirk Cousins is like, Creed, man, Creed. You know Creed.
Jordan Addison took that to heart and went and balled out this week. He listened.
I saw so many fantasy matchups that had like only Jordan Addison left, and they needed an all-time game, 1%. Spencer was actually one of them in our other league. He needed 30 points out of Addison, got 31.
Got it, dude.
He had a 1% chance to win. I saw a ton of those, 123 yards, 7 catches, and 2 touchdowns for the rookie.
That second touchdown where he rips the ball from the San Fran defender, I forget which one it was.
Number 7.
That was nasty.
I mean,
that was gross.
Yeah, that was a
Takes
hell of a
it
play.
60 yards to the house.
That was awesome. You also like to see, Brandon Ayuk get a little bit more involvement, especially later in that game when they had to throw the ball and they weren't even looking at him. They weren't even looking at him.
Same with George Kittle. He did see more involvement. Coming off a 1.9 week last week, 1 catch for 9 yards. Kittle came out with 13 points this week. Solid 7 targets, 5 receptions. You love to see it, honestly.
Yeah. McCaffrey, another McCaffrey game. I think that was his 15th game in a row, or maybe 16th of a touchdown. Just insane. He finished with 2 touchdowns, actually, 1 on the ground, 1 in the air. Longest reception for a touchdown in McCaffrey's career.
Really?
35 yards. You'd think that guy had a couple 80-yard touchdowns, but they were runs. Also for San Francisco, Brock Purdy, he's just faltering right now. He's falling farther and farther down those QB rankings.
Not looking too Purdy.
Will be out soon. Yeah, Purdy's not looking Purdy. Couple turnovers. They were bad interceptions, too, late in the game. The last thing he had to do in those moments was throw that pick, and he threw the pick. So you hate to see that. On the other hand, Kirk Cousins played lights out.
Can
Kirk Cousins played lights out, man.
You talk shit about Madison for me because
Madison's awful. We don't have to go into that. Cam Akers is a better runner of the football.
All
He
of
also
Minnesota
doesn't
hates
fumble.
him, but now I know why.
He also doesn't fumble like Madison, who's got butterfingers. Back to Kirk, though, real quick. He did have a pick. The pick was ripped out of the wide receiver's hands, though. It was actually Addison, which, he returned the favor later in the game with his touchdown. But, Kirk Cousins played lights out. Is he a top 10 QB?
No.
Talent-wise, Kirk Cousins just might be.
I won't call him top 10 at 3-4. The Vikings can at least get even.
3-4, but is it really Kirk's fault?
He lost to Baker week 1.
Man, they had other issues. Regardless, Kirk had a great game. He's definitely top 15. Jordan Addison, we already went over it. Outstanding game, best of his career so far. Hopefully he can get even better than that, especially when Jettis gets back. And then both tight ends, Kittle and Hawkinson, day late, not National Tight End Day, but they both came out and had great games. Hawkinson dealing with injury, but I'm sure he'll be fine. 12 targets for him. Kelsey had 13, like I said. There's some other guys that are right there.
They're good, man, but Kelsey's just different. He's not a tight end.
He has a couple touchdowns for those targets. We're looking at a Kelsey day. But yeah, huge win for the Vikings, who now move to 3-4. And the San Francisco 49ers, moved to 5-2, now second in the NFC on a 2-game losing streak. That will do it for our matchups, though. We wanted to jump into the Thursday night matchup this week, which is happening tomorrow between the Bucks and the Bills, the Buffalo Bills.
We're going to win. Go Bucks. We're going to win.
Hopefully the Bills have a great game and Diggs and Josh Allen just go off.
I do hope Stephon Diggs has 4 touchdowns, but I hope Mike Evans has 5.
Yeah. Do you know if this game is in Tampa Bay? I think it's in Buffalo.
No, it's in Buffalo.
It's in Buffalo, Thursday night game, prime time. The Bills are faltering right now, but because of that, I think we're looking at a big game out of them. Do you see the Bills starting the year 4-4?
No, I don't.
Yeah,
but I don't see us starting 3-4. So how about that?
I thought the Bucks were going to start 0-6, but here we are.
He's a fool.
I was just hating, man. I was just hating.
He's a hater. Biggest player hater.
I will say Rashad White, I would expect kind of a big day out of him. That's where the Bills have been getting attacked. Ramondre just did it to him. A good receiving back will go to work against the Bills, especially if they still have Milano out, their middle linebacker. Do you think James Cook's going to dice up that Tampa Bay defensive line?
We actually held Tyler Algier to a pretty low yards per carry. We do have a solid run D. I don't think James Cook will dice us up by any means, but I do think if he can get some receiving work like he did this last week, he'll have a solid fantasy outing.
Mm-hmm. You see, this is the kind of thing that pisses me off, seeing Mike Evans, a Hall of Fame level wide receiver, projected 12.6 points. That's just weird.
We don't believe in projections around here.
That's an automatic 16.5 every week, in my opinion.
No, I agree.
For Chris Godwin.
What'd you call Mike Evans again?
A piece of shit.
No, but like a second ago.
Oh, I don't remember.
A Hall of Fame wide receiver.
Said borderline.
That rings so nice.
Borderline Hall of Fame wide
That's such a nice ring to
it. Dalton Kincaid, though, just to finish up with this matchup, which I'm picking the Bills. I'll take the points, too. And, for a little competition here, it would be nice if you took the Bucks and the points, especially as a Bucks fan. But I understand if you want to tell the masses a good opinion and what you think is going to happen.
I think it's going to be a close game.
Okay.
I do fully believe that. The Pats just gave them, I was going to say a run for the money. They won. The Pats suck. We're better than the Pats. I'm definitely seeing
taking your Bucks? Are you taking the Bucks and the
I'm seeing the Bucks come out with a win. I want to see a shootout, man. Baker's going to pull out all the guns. I'm going to see a 31-28 win by Tampa.
All right. I'll take Buffalo here at home. I'll take the Bucks. I think the Bills cover, so I'll probably put Buffalo at 24 and the Bucks at 14. How about that?
Insulting.
I'll say 17. 24-17.
Slightly more respectable.
Just to finish off the episode, guys, we know we're at a little bit long run time right now, but we wanted to go over some starts for the week. I also had a question for Blake that I let him ponder throughout the episode. The start sit thing I wanted to say was, in this tight end era of the upper echelon who are automatically in your lineup every week, and then the middle of the pack and the bottom of the pack, half the teams in a league are usually streaming. So I thought a good start-sit question this week, especially after the weeks they just had, Dalton Kincaid versus Taysom Hill. Now, Taysom Hill lines up in the backfield a lot, especially has goal line work too. If they're on like the 1 to the 5, he's going to get, a touch for a touchdown possibly. So I had asked Blake to ponder that throughout the episode. Dalton Kincaid or Taysom Hill rest of season, especially with Dawson Knox going into surgery.
You never asked me that,
Yeah,
but I have an automatic answer because I'm a genius.
I did ask you that,
I would
right before the episode.
No, he didn't.
Yes,
he
I
didn't.
did.
He
And
was
I had
watching
the other
TikToks.
QB.
He was watching TikToks before the episode. You saw it. He was doing it halfway through. I would absolutely start Kincaid because Taysom Hill is inconsistent, and I'm sorry, an inconsistent offense. I am not confident starting Taysom. Now, if you needed a boom week where you needed 20 points from that position, I would gamble with Taysom Hill because, like Russell says, at quarterback, running back, or tight end, he could score.
He's getting a lot of targets
any
lately
time.
too. He's
At any
getting
time.
like, he had 7 targets last game, 5 targets before that. It's never happened before.
I think we're starting to see the more Derek Carr sucks, the more they're willing to use Taysom Hill. It's just like last year. As the season progresses,
I would
they
also
lose faith.
like to say that I want Dalton Kincaid rest of the season as well. He's a rookie, so I'm going to bet on the young guy. I mean, that's always a smart thing to do in fantasy football. Bet on the young guy. Usually, you're right, unless it's Adam Thielen. The other question I had for Blake, I'm sure a lot of people have this on their mind. Brock Purdy started the season so hot, but has been faltering as of late, like I said. So, Brock Purdy or Dak Prescott rest of the season?
Oh, you did ask me this. I said Dak Prescott.
Why?
When I look at the 49ers offense, I think it is Christian McCaffrey's offense and not Brock Purdy's. I also see Kittle, Debo, and Ayuk any given week having really bad weeks. I think they're all capable of it. None of them are three. I don't see them as a high passing offense. That's not how they win games. They win games through their defense and McCaffrey. Dak Prescott, however, we've seen Tony Pollard be pretty shaky all year. The defense, again, has been winning games for the Cowboys in the same way, but it's Dak's offense, not Tony Pollard's offense.
Fair enough. I would also like to say I'd keep Dak Prescott over Brock Purdy. I think he's got a better chance for a boom week, too. He's also a better runner of the football, which you love to see out of your quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
That will do it for our Week 7 in review, guys. We appreciate you tuning in. What did I want to say to end? Oh, yeah.
No, just a little bit of history here for all of you watchers. 200 years ago, a guy picked up a ball and started running with it. And the guy on the other team tackled him and put him down. That began the sport of rugby.
Okay.
This Saturday,
Let's gas up
at
rugby.
2 p.m. on MSNBC and Peacock, the Rugby World Cup.
Nah, rugby's cool. Rugby's cool, Blake.
The All Blacks of New Zealand against the Springboks of South Africa. It's the birth of American football. You want to see some tough motherfuckers playing, you watch that game.
He is right. You look at those rosters for the South African.
We already gave him his ad.
I know. It's the second ad. That's my father right there. He's put out this great production that you guys see this week. That we know you enjoy.
That was just Russell without glasses.
Yeah, that's just me without glasses in about 35 years. But yeah, I mean, he is kind of right. If you look at the New Zealand rugby team, that South African rugby team, those guys transition to football, grow up on football. They're some of the best in the world.
When the Olympics,
especially the New Zealand team.
when the Olympics bring in flag football, those rugby players can come in. But Tyreek Hill's putting up 500 yards.
Yeah, but he's gonna get clotheslined by some New Zealand Samoan
Flag
dude.
football. Flag football.
Anyway, that'll do it for our week in review. We appreciate you guys tuning in.
See you next time.